So let us move to the next. If you have any question to Pak Haryanto, Dr. Haryanto, please put it on the chat box or in the Q&A box so that we can look into it and eventually pass it on to him. He promised to go back after 1 hour. That's what I said. Okay, the next speaker, we are starting the technical session now, and it would be, the first one is the digitalization in the foundry sector, need of the hour. This is a very interesting statement. Mr. Christian Kleberg, Managing Director or Managing Partner of RGU Asia Pte Ltd. Please, the time is yours.
Yeah, very good afternoon. Selamat datang to my friends in Indonesia. My name is Christian Kleberg. Also very welcome to everybody in Europe. Willkommen und guten Morgen. Yeah, I want to present today two presentations, relatively short. First of all, our RGU solution, digitalization of melt shop operations in foundry. I think that is a very good add-on topic to the previous speaker. And another company we are representing here in Asia Pacific, I'm sitting in Singapore, Celano, digitalization in steel mill operations, also a very strong energy efficiency area. Very quickly, let me quickly, it works. Let me introduce our company, our solutions. Why are we looking into melt shops? What is our software doing? What is our system doing? How do we do system integration, total transparency, and the benefits and conclusions for energy efficiency? Our company is already a very long-standing available. Since early 2017, we are operating ex-Singapore in Asia Pacific, and every country in the red color area is already where we have customers. We have our direct operations also in India since October last year, and are very happy that we have a total team for total support. Yeah, the idea is to move forward. The idea is to move the slide forward, yeah. Okay. We are partnering here with various companies in the industry, and we are providing here solutions for especially heavy mechanical engineering industry, casting, forging, steel mills, and smelters. And the idea is how to bring new technologies integrated way into this environment. We call this environment 3D, dirty, dangerous, and difficult. And we want to make it different, digital, dynamic, and different. As such, our company is based on software consulting with our own operational system. We are having what we call a PPC system as our core solution, applying a digital twin technology. We speak the language of the industry because our people come from the industry. So we believe software consulting is the success for you. Now we look into our melt solution. This is a special technology, software-based platform, especially for the melt shop operations. And why are we doing this? The reason why this is happening is because we need to understand, first of all, how is a melt being created? And we heard already, so it's charge materials, the grade specifications, the melting facilities, the alloying materials, the charge calculations are done manual, chemical analysis is done very often also not digitally. So melt recipes are very often company secrets. And here there is a strong potential available because we understand moving this to a database will allow people to move faster. So when we do that one, we have first of all a first work order on how an operation works. A chart is being prepared, it's planned. We have a first calculation of the same. After that one, it's a charge makeup calculation done. Then the molten metal is created on the shop floor. The furnace is loaded. And ultimately, when it comes to the spectrometer analysis, we want to know, just like a chef wants to know whether his soup is very nice, we want to know, is the charge good or bad? And the earlier we know this, the faster we know this, the better we can control it and the more efficient the process will be. So that will all documented in form of a melting report. This melting report will then store in a database, and this database will be available for future data-driven decision making. We have to understand, first of all, also how, for example, liquid melt is is moved in a foundry or in a steel mill or in other melting shops. So here we're looking into different areas when we have different furnaces, induction furnaces, arc furnaces, and so on. They can move like that, or they move like that down to the molding line, or we're having here cupola furnaces, pot type furnaces. They move in this way or such a way. You can see that very quickly to understand. Once we know material flows, we know how to handle the data that is created in the melt shop itself. Based on all that, we are then focusing very strongly on the actual melt shop operations. We are looking here into the pouring and cooling side, into the batching, melting treatment, and of course also into heat treatment and annealing. All these are extremely energy consuming technologies and processes, and the more data we have from that processes, the better it will be for us to understand where can we improve. So we have a situation right now. The situation is we have considerable fluctuation in material prices. We have increased energy costs. Energy efficiency is paramount, especially in these manufacturing areas. We are looking into growing price pressures, emphasizing the necessity to reorganize processes and to use existing resources in the most effective way. Yeah, in many foundries, ironworks, steelworks, and metalworks, the IT support for the melting process, in contrast to other areas of production, is still a long way from achieving its full potential. And COVID-19 is acting for us right now only as an accelerator. We are, again, asked the question, why FRP melt? So why do we do that? And why should the company melt? Because at the end of the day, there are many queries, how to improve, what shall we do, why don't we do this, why don't we do that? In the end of the day, the melt shop, as I mentioned earlier, is the least explored digital area. And for us, big data means big money. The more we have an understanding what we are really doing on the shop floor, the faster we can contribute towards savings. This is what many companies do still nowadays. Paper logging is not big data. And we know we calculate faster the end result, we have time savings, secure better the melt quality, less material, we ensure melt recipe is preserved, consistency, time is money, yeah, and all this and much, much more is contributing to the dollar improvement. Energy efficiency is only one aspect of our solution. We have customers over globally, and we have looked into a usual savings potential of about 30%, but averaging over a 3-year period, we have reports of about 16%.
Your time is 3 minutes to go, Mr.
Well, I have okay. We have a contact out in Indonesia, PT Magma Mea Graha Dinamica, Pak Andre. The other company we are representing here in Asia is Celano. They are a solution provider coming directly from the heart of the industrial belt in Germany, in Bottrop. And their solution is they have a level 2, level 3 SCADA MES solution, especially for the steel mills. And here we are looking into, of course, melting shop, the hot rolling mill, the cold rolling mill, and understanding again, where is the highest amount of energy being consumed? It is in the hot rolling mill. The hot rolling mill is the area where we need digital control. Here, there is a special solution available with Celano furnace control system. It's included of a simulation technology that allows to better control the furnace operation. And of course, in combination with better production planning and scheduling, it will allow you to optimize plant scheduling, operation, and distance scheduling. Here's a typical example of a walking beam furnace and how it would look like in the software. And the way it works, it is a 3-stage optimization, technical optimization. First, it's an observer understanding the data of the furnace, a prognosis, what can we improve, and the actual optimization algorithm allowing for optimized results that can be implemented on the shop floor as well. This is all done in 3D, real-time and online, and it's a universal approach. And yeah, again, what if, what can we do, what's going on? These are all the questions many steel mills would like to have when they operate their equipment. Celano is extremely accurate, and they have a very strong, long-lasting history also in understanding the thermodynamics of the process itself. We can see here comparisons between actuals and simulated results, and I think this is a very strong verdict for good cost-saving potentials. Energy efficiency, here examples from various plants. For example, a company in Western Europe guaranteed was a 3% improvement. Actual savings of 6 to 7% were realized, leading ultimately to 500,000 euro and more in savings. Of course, CO2 emission reduction and gas consumption reduction. Another example here with better planning, which means better planning of the plates, of the cutting plates in a rolling mill. Also there's an optimization potential available, also form of energy. And again, about 300,000 euros savings were materialized.
2 minutes,
overall,
basically better.
Overall, increasing efficiency and lower CO2 emissions is definitely in Central Europe, but also out here already a strong part of the solution. There's no unnecessary heating up. The heating furnaces can be switched off occasionally. There's more flexibility, transparency in the production. And all this and much, much more allows to improve and to enhance productivity and efficiency. And with this, thank you very much. If you need anything, to contact me under info@celano.de, or as I mentioned earlier, PT Magmur Meta Graha Dynamica, Pak Andre. The telephone and details are inside the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint will be shared accordingly online. Thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Excellent, Mr. Kleber. It's right on time. And I would not make a comment that because of the time, we are a little bit late. So I would like to invite the second speaker, Mrs. Benedict Hyde. He's from, he's going to talk about smart metering for energy consumption measurement. And he's sales director of Engelmann Sensor GmbH.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, Mr. Hyde, yeah.
Happy to be part of this, as we heard before, virtual delegation. And I would like to briefly introduce you also to our company, but first of all to what we are really doing. Let me see if I can control the presentation already. So as you were saying, I'm responsible for marketing and sales at Engelmann, and now it works.
I can call you back. I'm leading a chairing a discussion now.
I would like to show you what we are doing within our company. And first of all, maybe to catch your attention also, what we heard from Dr. Haryanto before, there's potential of savings of 13,789 gigawatt hours. That's quite an amazing amount of energy when we're talking about the Indonesian market in a relatively short time frame. And this is what we are doing all about. So if you're interested in learning how to save energy, this presentation and future talks also would be interesting for you. I understand that also when I look at the participants and the my colleagues from the other German companies who are joining this delegation, there's a high focus on industrial applications. Actually, our focus is not that much on industrial applications, but on residential and commercial applications. Why, you will see in a second. So what we really do is that we would measure energy that is being used, and you can also visualize what you are really doing. What we do as a basis with our equipment is that we provide the basis to do consumption-based billing. That means the division of costs according to the real consumption. And at the same time, we just learned something about data. There's a lot of data which is being collected and transmitted. Based on this data, we are also able to do to take actions on preventive maintenance management. I will briefly show you how that works practically. So let's just go back one slide. So this is a very typical application. You would wonder why I'm not talking about the company for the time being. You can see that later. But the product itself and the application, the main application, is very easy to understand. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse. I hope though. So basically, this is a circuit of a centralized cooling system. So you would imagine either a residential building or a commercial building, maybe a shopping mall, where you have different tenants or different parties using the same air conditioning system. So there's one centralized point where you generate cooling energy, cool water, basically. There's a chiller, which then later distributes cool water through a pipeline. And this piping actually is then being used by the different tenants. So you have an inlet temperature, which you have at the piping system, which is being measured. There's a temperature sensor in here. Then you have a ventilation system. So just let's say within one apartment or within one shop, you have indeed the ventilation system, which interchanges the hot air with cool air to have the effect of cooling the air. And you measure the same water flow at the outlet again to determine the outlet temperature. In between, you measure the flow, so the water flow that you have. And then based on these three values, the water flow, the inlet temperature, and the outlet temperature, you can basically determine how much cooling energy or thermal energy was used in that specific application. And you could then easily determine, okay, for one building, I spent an amount of $5,000 per month on cooling energy to generate the overall cooling. And then I can determine how much of this was spent by every individual tenant or user. Data is then also a big part of what we are doing. You can see here typical application. So there's a normal building where you have different measurement devices, cooling meters, water meters installed, and they all collect data all the time. And this data is being transmitted on different ways, be it wirelessly, over the air to a collector, to a gateway, which is also installed in the building, which has a modem or a SIM card inside, collects the data and transmits it automatically to the facility manager, for example, or to the utility, to the provider of energy, to make sure that the data can be collected in the right way, but then also managed in the right way to ultimately generate consumption-based billing. So here's a typical setup of this. If we look into our products a little bit, so we manufacture since 44 years now heat and cooling meters in Germany. We are based south of Frankfurt, around about 100 kilometers away from there. And we manufacture this heat and cooling meters roughly about 500,000 per year for different applications, and we do that for worldwide installations. There's different sizes and different dimensions of this. I will show you that in individual presentations. We also carry in our portfolio water meters, which are used for consumption-based billing, but then for water, not for energy. So also these meters transmit their data by a radio telegram. So there is no wires, no cables. And there is a couple of other things we also integrate into our portfolio, which would not necessarily apply into the Indonesian market. Just very quickly, what we do, our core essence is that we develop and we produce. So we are indeed developing our products ourselves, heat and cooling meters with our team here in Germany. The next part, which is very, very important for us, is that we keep ahead of technology. So we constantly improve our portfolio and our technologies to be as detailed and as exact as possible as technology permits. And the part of data, which is important for us, I will just go back for a second. The part of data which is important for us is that there is so much data being collected and we need to manage this data in some way. So we also provide software solutions which enables you to read out the data, to collect the data accordingly, but also to manage it and to transfer it to wherever you want to use it. Just quick look at the map. So you can see that our headquarters is where I'm based right now, actually in Wiesloch, south of Frankfurt. And also we have since 2006 a fully owned Chinese operation where we have a small manufacturing facility between Shanghai and Beijing. We did in the meantime more than 8 million meters. So we produced quite something already since the company was founded. We are a bit more than 200 people. So it is a business where we know each other quite well. We've been doing this for more than 40 years. I just said it, so since 1976. And actually, it is a market which is just changing now a lot. We learned in the very early introduction this morning or this early afternoon that there's a lot changing when it comes to energy efficiency, and that does not only apply to the industrial sector, but it applies also to the residential, to the commercial, to private sector. And we have seen also in Dr. Rianto's presentation how these things are divided, how the energy consumption is divided by the different sectors. And the private sector, the living housing sector, is quite substantial for that. So there's a lot of energy saving potential within residential buildings and within commercial buildings by the pure fact of making sure that energy that is being used efficiently. So I would just basically like to remind you on this one here. So there's a QR code that you can scan yourself, and you will be able to have a quick company introduction of Engelmann in about 4.5 minutes. And then I would be very happy to see you again on the individual meetings during the next 3 days. And yeah, happy to learn from you and with you about the Indonesian market, which would be very exciting for us to be part of that market development and maybe contribute a little bit as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Benedict Hyde. So it's just excellent. It's on time. So very interesting. In Indonesia, there is a tendency to, the residential buildings are increasing very highly, very rapidly. So this is interesting that this product can be applied to residential buildings, but perhaps in commercial and hotels. So perhaps I hope that there's some audience here that are interested in your product. Thank you.
So do I. Thank you very much.
Okay. So the next speaker or presenter is going to come from the Kompensationsanlagenbau GmbH. Mr. Klaus Checks, the export manager. He's going to talk about power factor correction and data-driven energy management. Mr. Checks, your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for the short introduction. Well, my name is Klaus Czech, and I'm responsible for the international sales and export at KBR. KBR is a family-owned company and located in the south of Germany. And we are looking for a business partner and a distributor for our products in Indonesia. So I will give you a brief introduction of KBR, what we are doing and what we are producing and which solutions. KBR is in the field of business of energy management and energy savings for more than 40 years. We can see here our facilities in Schwabach, where KBR is located. Our products, KBR is certified in accordance to different standards, of course. We have also some export certifications like AEO, and we are secure aviation, aviation certification. And our products, our power factor correction units are type-proofed. So the first business, what I want to talk is the business of power factor correction. For power factor correction, we produce the power capacitors in our facilities, also the filter reactors to protect power capacitors, and also thyristor switches instead of contactors in case of very fast power factor correction units. For a power factor correction unit, you also need a controller. So we have in our product range different controllers depending on the requests of and the demands of the project. At this slide, we see one of the complete power factor correction units we produce at KBR, and also a module type, which we are using in our cabinets. We produce power factor correction units from 5 to 400 kVAr, but you can also get the loose components of kVAr. For dimensioning of a power factor correction unit, it's necessary to have also an equipment for power quality analysis. For that, we use our multi-log device, which is a mobile analyzer, PQ analyzer, class A device. And in that way, we also can dimension filters. So here we see a passive filter, which we produce at KBR. But we have also active filters in our product range to improve the power quality at the customer site. The second business we are doing is the business of energy management. For energy management, you need software and hardware. We develop and produce both. Here we can see our range of multi-mesh devices, measuring devices to measure the electricity in different designs, 144 device, 696 device, a rail mounting device, but also a power quality analyzer is in this range. At the next slide, we see our data recorder. So we analyze not only electricity, we analyze all mediums like gas, water, steam, pressured air, whatever you have to measure. We can show this also in our software. And for that, we use our data recorder multi-seal. For this device, you just need a pulse information from the counter. So let's say a water counter or a gas counter. And by this pulse information, we create a load profile and we can see the consumption of this medium. Another system we have in our product range is our maximum demand controller. So if you have peaks in your consumption, by this controller, we have a trend calculation within the 15-minute period. This period is, of course, also flexible. We can also set a 30-minute period depending, or 1 hour period, depending on the demands of in your country. But within this period, we can calculate a trend. And if the consumption would exceed the limit, we start to switch off defined loads by the relay modules. And by this action, we avoid these very expensive peak loads. Here we see a rough overview of our complete system. Here at the bottom, you can see the hardware, this multi-seal, which is collecting the consumption data, also some measuring devices, multi-mesh, and we bring the data to a TCP/IP network. In this TCP/IP network, we have our system center. We have a SQL database for the historical values, and we have a web server. And this web server provides our application Visual Energy. Visual Energy is a web-based solution. And by this solution, I will talk a little about later, we can give access to the technical department, to the controlling office, to the energy manager, very important person in case of energy efficiency. And of course, also in case of any problems, we can get also access by our support. Our software is designed, and the idea of our software is to get out from the system plausible data. This is very important, to get plausible data, to trust my data, to trust my reports. And for that, we bring the complete distribution into our system. So what we can see here, for example, this is the distribution of the electricity. Here we see the income, here we see the loads. And so we create all distributions for gas, for water, for electricity, first in our system, and then we connect the already existing metering points with these drawings. So by a few mouse clicks, the customer, the user, can get out from the system all information he needs So we can see here some load profiles of the devices. We can see here a filter analysis, for example. We have here different possibilities to evaluate the data which we get from the devices. We can verify the load profiles. We can get a heat map where are our hotspot of consumptions. We can get also a Sankey diagram to see the energy balance. Where does my energy comes from? Where does it goes to, for example? I have different possibilities to make a dashboard in my software. Here, some different dashboards we can create. So this is a very flexible software which can create a user-defined dashboard for the customer. So here we see the production, for example, and here we see the values, the online values, of course, to this real existing production. For reporting, we can use Excel, or of course, we can also create some standard PDF reports. But the Excel add-in is very nice. When you use Excel, you use this add-in, you can get a direct access to the database. And by a few mouse clicks, you will get in your report the actual data of your consumption. Here we see some more possibilities how we can use our software, how we can get out the informations to achieve the best energy efficiency in my company and to get the best energy savings for your reports. So thank you very much for your attention. In case of any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Czech. Excellent and on-time presentation. And as you know, Indonesia has a core regulation that mandated company at a certain category to conduct energy management. This seems to be the right tool to do that.
Thank you very
hopefully
much.
Hopefully there will be interest in your product. Thank you. Now the next speaker, the last one in this session, is Mr. Victor Stark. He is the head of marketing and sales of Vision Electric Superconductors GmbH. He will talk about electricity transmission without loss through superconductivity. Mr. Stark, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start with this first slide with the quotation of Warren Buffett, who said that someone who's sitting in the shade today means that someone else planted a tree a long time ago. It means that someone has to start something to have a benefit for future generations. And that is also our approach to have a new technology in place to promote a completely new and environmental friendly technology to make a better world for the next generations. Okay, so thank you. So I'd like to start with a specific use case. This is an aluminum plant in Hamburg, and what you see here, this orange line, these are aluminum. This is an aluminum smelter with 3 lines, which means that they are missing one return line. And considering the energy costs in Germany, this means that they lose energy just through the resistance, which means 1 million euro per year, approximately. So what is the solution? What we offer is the worldwide first modular superconducting busbar systems. It works with superconductors. Superconductors, or a superconductor, is a material based on ceramic. And if you operate this material in a temperature of 77 Kelvin or below, which is approximately -200 degrees Celsius. Then this great material has no electrical resistance anymore. It loses completely the electrical resistance, no matter what distances you have to go. So this means that depending on your system in the industry, our business is mainly electrolyzers and every kind of application that needs high currents and ideally direct currents. Here on this picture, you can see this superconducting busbar as a model. And on the second two pictures, this is a real installation that we made at the BASF, which is the biggest chemical company in the world, within a chlorine electrolyzers. So your benefits are that the system is completely modular and scalable to your environment if you would like to extend or to plan a new facility. You have a complete loss-free energy transmission. And of course, you have a lot of space saving potential because superconductors are very, very small. So you can transport a large amount of energy with a very small diameter. It is also good for the environment, not only because of the energy losses you do not have, which means that you don't even have to produce the energy first. It is also a very light material. It is small, and it means that you just don't have this shipping and erection costs that you would normally have with aluminum or copper bus bars. And the system is completely IP68 isolated, which means it is very safe for the facility and for personnel. Here on the right side, you can see the break even that we calculated. So normally, if you have a current of, let's say, at least 5 kiloamperes and a length of at least 30 meters, then we could have a business case, which means that you can save operational costs up to 90%. Why not 100%? Because of course you need some energy for the cooling system, which we also provide. So this is a turnkey solution, but the rest of the energy is completely saved. Another use case is the rising electricity demand in Indonesia. This is a slide from the ROPTIL 2018. I know there's a newer one, and now with the COVID situation, this figure may change a little bit, but I believe that the trend, of course, still remains the same, that the energy demand is rising in Indonesia, and this leads to the question how to produce and also how to distribute this amount of energy. Our suggestion is the following. We have the challenge that, or with the current present technology that is available, you can build overhead lines. For example, this is a 6 gigawatt overhead line, and you can see here that the corridor width that you have to just to dig out to erect is 125 meters. It is very expensive. It is environmentally unfriendly, and you have energy losses. The longer the distance, the more energy you lose. So it means that you have you need a higher input for a certain output. And of course, this overhead lines also have a social impact, like for example, with the Java-Bali connection, which is not really socially accepted in some areas. Alternatively, you can do this with underground cables, which is even much more expensive and also environmentally unfriendly. And of course, you still have the energy losses. Now it is possible to also use a superconducting cable instead. The big advantage is, of course, you only have a 5-meter corridor with you, which means that you can use this space for the nature, for dwellings, for whatever you like. You just don't need to waste this space. Of course, superconductors are lighter and smaller, and you have no energy losses at all, which means you have a low environmental impact as well, regarding the erection and also regarding the energy saving. Okay, I cannot move to the next slide. Thank you. So our value proposition is that we deliver sustainable and more efficient systems to everyone. You have a significantly lower CO2 footprint in your systems. You have the highest possible efficiency that is possible up to now. You have lower operation costs and also a very high material efficiency, and the whole system is easy to transport and to install due to this modular build-up we have. And one of our supporters is Dr. Georg Bednorz, who is a Nobel Prize winner in physics. He discovered the high temperature superconductors, and he believes that that application that we offer here can really change the thinking and the distribution of energy worldwide. Okay, try the next slide. The most people in our company have a lot of experience within this industrial applications worldwide. And as you can see, we have also Dr. Georg Bednorz, who is in our advisory board, as well as Professor Matthias Noy from the KIT, which is our portal to the scientific world. And also you can see here on the left, Dr. Wolfgang Reiser, who is our CEO and who installed busbar systems in the whole world on every continent in the last 35 years. Okay, that's it. So our vision is to make a better future and a sustainable environment for the next generations, because now is the time where we can change the climate change, where we have the ability to stop or to mitigate the consequences, and we would like to be part of this. So we already started a few one slide back, industrial projects with some big players, and Indonesia is for us our first market abroad, because we see the potential in Indonesia. That is why we also have a partner in Indonesia, Pak Freddy Ziahan, who is our managing partner in Indonesia itself. So we would be glad to hear from you within the one-on-one meetings in the next days. And if you have any questions, of course, you can ask me or him anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stark. It's interesting about superconductivity, which seems to be replacing a lot of problem when we are using cable. I'm not an engineer, but I capture that. Thank you. Now we come to the end of this session, this first session, or the second session, and we are going to have a bit pause that we are going to upload here, and we are asking you to answer the questions that is now being broadcast. So while we are waiting for any questions that you might have, we will have some 10 minutes or so of question and answer. But of course, otherwise you can, of course, put your question on the Q&A chat box. So have you invested in energy efficiency measures? Please select one. So interesting. The number of those who are investing in energy efficiency and considering seriously, I mean, is about 80%. So 17, more than 80%. So those who are not are only 17%. Interesting. So this is encouraging. The next polls is about in which area can your company become more energy efficient? For a company director, this is easy to answer. So interesting numbers here. In production and power generation is almost the same, and which is I think to be expected. In the production and power generation is very close. You need power generation to do production, so this is very interesting. Thank you very much for your participation in the polls. So we are waiting for questions that eventually can be asked directly to the participant, to the speakers, Mr. Christian Kleber, Benedict Hyde, Klaus Cech, and Victor Stark.